Veterans, do you know the definition of a Nexus letter, the essentials of a Nexus letter, and the do's and don'ts as it pertains to you having a private provider complete a Nexus letter? In today's video, I am going to answer all of those questions, so make sure you stick around. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. Today's video. Do you know the definition of a Nexus letter, the essentials, and the do's and don'ts? I am going to be covering all of that information, but before we get into today's video, make sure you click up for the #1 VA claim software, which will allow you to create your own VA claim educational packet. Myself and a fellow veteran, my business partner, came up with this, which will help veterans be more educated as it pertains to what they are filing with the VA. The link is in the description. So, Nexus letters. A lot of veterans, they miss the boat as it pertains to Nexus letters. They even think, oh, I only need a Nexus letter and not a DBQ. That is far from the truth. If you just have a Nexus letter and you're claiming a back condition, how am I, as a rater, supposed to grant you 0, 20, 40% if you don't have the range of motions? So, I am going to break down Nexus letters. Let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number 1. Here in slide number 1, this is definition of a Nexus letter. Now, the VA on their website in M21-1, they have plenty manual references as it pertains to Nexus letters, okay? So as always, I encourage individuals to go out and look at all the VA's information. So, definition of a Nexus letter. A Nexus letter is a written medical opinion from a qualified healthcare provider, also mental health provider, that explains whether there is a connection between a veteran's current medical condition and their military service. Okay, so basically you have a diagnosis of X. Is it related to Y that's documented in or related to your military service? It serves as the bridge between service events, exposures, and current disability, okay? So a lot of people say, oh, I'm gonna pay for a Nexus letter. Where's the DBQ? If you think about it, the diagnostic code criteria for the condition you're claiming is not listed, not all of it anyway, in the Nexus letter, but it's definitely listed and can be found in the DBQ. Veterans, stop submitting just the Nexus statement, okay? It really doesn't make sense. Now, you could do that, and as a former VA rater, if you have the actionable and sufficient Nexus letter, I still have to request a CMP exam, but I'm going to request it without requesting a medical opinion to include the Nexus letter. Raters today are not doing that, all right? Let's keep going. Slide number 2. Here's slide number 2. This is Nexus letter essentials. Now, you may ask yourself, Dwayne, how did you come up with this? Don't worry about it. I'm gonna tell you how I came up with it. 1, being a former rater, adjudicating hundreds and hundreds of claims and looking at Nexus statements from the VA, okay? Also, when I was adjudicating my own claim, I was putting together my own essentials in my Nexus letter. Now, I'm not a medical provider. I'm not a mental health provider. I am not giving you any medical or mental health advice. I'm only stating, hey, this is what the VA wants to see. As a former rater, this is what they trained us on, okay? So, number 1, date of the letter. Make sure to have your examiner push the date, okay? Now, you could follow these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you're putting together the Nexus letter, but it's totally up to you and your provider. So first, the date, okay? 2, veteran identification, full name, date of birth, last 4 social security number. Now, in a previous video, well, I think it was maybe a YouTube short, I talked about veterans leaving off or not putting their social security number on these documents. Now, it says the last 4. I will go ahead and put my entire social security number on there because they're going to see that your full social security number throughout your VA claims folder. And your VA claims folder number, more than likely, is your social security number, all right? So if your Nexus statement is 2 or 3 pages, make sure your examiner, or you can write it at the top or down below. It's totally up to you. Number 3, medical provider credentials. Name, specialty, license, contact information, okay? Why are you qualified to complete this? If you, let's say you're a Vietnam vet and you claim in ischemic heart disease, or if you claim ischemic heart disease as a presumptive, you don't need a Nexus statement, okay? But let's just say you're claiming back condition due to being awarded the parachute badge, all right? Orthopedic, okay? They may be able, well, they will, but your orthopedic may be willing to complete a DBQ, okay? So they're a specialist in that area. Or if they're a nurse practitioner, physician assistant, MD, it does not matter. Veterans. I know a lot of you think, oh, well, a nurse practitioner, how are they able to do that? Actually, when I was adjudicating claims, I saw more nurse practitioners grant service connection than medical doctors, okay? So just be cautious when you wish for that or say, hey, nurse practitioners, they don't know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing, and the VA gives them permission to complete DBQs, okay? Let's keep going. Number 4, records review. Now, if you're getting this Nexus statement from a private physician, most VA employees will say the examiner did not review your entire VA claims folder. I've done videos in the past on a particular M21-1 manual reference that states private examiners are not held to the same standard as it pertains to reviewing the entire claims folder. Unfortunately, a lot of VA employees do not know about that M21-1. But if I was going through the process again, yes, I'm giving that examiner as much information as possible so they can say, hey, I reviewed this, 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 and this. Now, when I say enough evidence or information as possible, I'm not talking about 50, 100, 200, or 3,000 pages, okay? Just want to make that clear. They need to identify what records they review. In my personal opinion, and this is just my opinion, you may ask another rater their opinion, but I would want them to spell out VA progress notes from Tampa VA from this date to this date. Private medical records from Dr. John Doe on this date. Private medical records from Dr. John Doe from this date to this date. Break it out, okay? So they can see, oh, wait a minute. They did look at this. They did look at that, all right? Number 5, current diagnosis. List the current diagnosis, okay? That is Nexus Statements or Letters Essentials 101, okay? The condition. State whether the disability is permanent. Now, the reason why this is important is because I did a video where I talked about RFEs, routine future exams, okay? And if your examiner says that your condition is guarded or is permanent, and the VA employee schedules a routine future exam, and they grant you 100%, they're not granting you permanent and total, Chapter 35, which means you're not entitled to all those additional benefits. If that's the case, you do a high-level review and say, hey, I should have been granted Chapter 35, also known as P&T, because my examiner stated my condition is guarded and or permanent, okay? So when your examiner puts that in the Nexus letter, And also I would have them to put it in the remarks section in the DBQ, okay? They are not supposed to schedule a routine future exam. Let's keep going. Slide number 3. Here in slide number 3, now I'm just continuing the essentials. Number 7, medical history summary. You also can find that in the DBQ as well. This doesn't need to be a long, drawn-out statement, maybe a paragraph as it pertains to the diagnosis, okay? Medical opinion, standard of proof. It is least as likely as not, this condition. There's a couple of examples. Least, L-E-A-S-T, that's a positive opinion. When they say less, L-E-S-S, that is a negative opinion, okay? Know the difference between the two. Now, number 9. In my opinion, this is the most important piece of the Nexus Letter, okay? The rationale. I've talked to veterans, they've had 5, 10, 15, 20, up to 30 pages. And I'm like, read me the medical opinion. Oh, wait a minute, got to find it. All right, they find it, read me the rationale. Well, the examiner said this. No, read me the rationale. Well, I don't know where it's at. Well, you didn't ask that examiner where it was at? The examiner didn't state like a bullet comment, rationale, and break the rationale down, okay? So clear conclusions supporting data, explanation, medical literature, studies, clear conclusions, medical explanation, avoid vague terms, okay? So let's just say the veteran was claiming sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. In that rationale, that doctor has to make that connection between sleep apnea and a mental condition. Let's just say PTSD, all right? What medical literature out there that supports that? Are there any medical studies, okay? A DRO or a rater, they cannot ignore medical studies that have proven something, okay? Just keep that in mind, because you go to informal conference, you may have to stand on business and bring that up. Say, wait a minute, in my Nexus letter, the examiner actually gave some medical literature and medical studies connecting the two. All right? Now, number 10, you want that examiner to basically state, hey, everything that I put in this Nexus statement, okay, it holds true, okay? And it's based off their medical expertise, their experience, all right? So they're saying, hey, everything I wrote on here is true, all right? Number 11, signature block. Make sure they sign it. Make sure they put their medical license, the state, all that information, address, contact information, phone number. And the easiest way, if you say, well, Dwayne, I don't know exactly, when you say signature block, look at the DBQ. It has a signature block. So everything that they're asking for from that examiner, so forth, his name, the signature, they have to sign it, okay? Make sure they sign the Nexus letter as well. All that information that they're asking for in the DBQ, in the signature block, the examiner can put at the bottom of the Nexus letter, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 4. This is the last slide, all right? Do's and don'ts, okay? Do, use a qualified specialist, date the letter. When I say specialist, nurse practitioner, physician assistant, medical doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, okay? Preferably somebody that has been treating you, okay? But that's not a standard where you're, whoever you get your DBQ from, that doesn't mean they have to have been treating you, okay? But make sure they're qualified. Give them a packet of evidence, okay? You heard me say it earlier. If I was going through the process again, I would make sure I gave whomever that was completing a DBQ and Nexus statement all the pertinent information for them to review. Provide clear conclusion, data, all right, reason, explanation inside the rationale. Again, it's my opinion, the rationale. You need all of the essentials that I provided. But the rationale, that's the make or break. That is the make or break. Also, it is my opinion, the rationale, if it needs to be 2 or 3 paragraphs, so be it. But it should be the lengthiest of all of the essentials, okay? Ask them to be detailed but concise, 1 or 2 pages. Again, if you get up to 5, 10, 15, 20 pages, you're gonna lose somebody. Now, if your examiner just, bent on providing 15 or 20 pages, use bullet comments, date, veterans information, medical expertise, diagnosis, medical opinion, rationale. That way it's easy for that VA employee to follow and get to the information they need to get to, all right? Don't use vague phrases. Could be, possibly. You're setting yourself up for failure because that information is going to have to be clarified, okay? Missing the at least as likely as not. Make sure you have the medical opinion. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. No medical rationale, just bare opinion. If you're trying to connect, again, sleep apnea secondary to a mental condition, you need the rationale. That's the explanation from the examiner to state, hey, this is how I came up with a positive medical opinion. Here's another thing, veterans. I rated a couple of cases where veterans went out, paid for a DBQ and Nexus statement, and they didn't even read it. They just submitted it to the VA. And you know how I know they didn't read it? Because their own doctor provided a negative opinion, saying the veteran is claiming, one of them was actually sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. And the examiner provided a sufficient rationale. So the veteran didn't even read it. So when you pay for this information from a private examiner, make sure you read this Nexus letter, all right? Let's keep going. Wrong or missing diagnosis. You know what you're claiming, make sure the examiner gets it correct, all right? And the diagnosis that's in the DBQ needs to be the same diagnosis in the Nexus letter, okay? The last, don't. Letter written by non-competent provider. Example, chiropractor writing on heart disease. Come on, people. Do not be that veteran. So, I know that was a lot of good information, okay? And again, I'm not a medical or mental health professional. I was not providing any medical or mental health advice. I was only giving you the essentials, do's and don'ts, based off my experience as a former VA rater and the training I received from the Department of Veterans Affairs, all right? So make sure when you get that Nexus letter completed, you go through it line by line by line to ensure you have all the essentials to make sure it's actionable and sufficient. With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veteran. Thank you.